the objective in our company, which is a 45,000 people company, so it's a big, to try and put to exploit the AI in many different places. But what we started with about 4 years ago was the operations. So what I'm going to share today is the lessons learned by all these 3-4 years of putting AI in place in the operations. So first of all, I'd like to put some context because it's probably a little bit different than the one that we have seen in the previous day. And what do we mean when we talk about operations? On the one hand, we have all the what makes our business, so all the equipment, all the devices, all the networks, so a lot. It's more than 1 million objects that we have deployed in field, and that every 5 minutes or at most 15 minutes tell us something like, I'm okay, I'm serving X customers, and humidity, so, and temperature and everything. So an enormous amount of data coming from the network. So what we use AI for is to make sense of this data. No human could ever make sense of this amount of data. So the good thing is that we can put algorithms and help people that have to make choices to have a better information on the situation, and sometimes even the future that will come. And this another special thing of this part is that it's very, very peculiar of our company, or of each company. Even if I would share this algorithm with Vodafone or whatever other operator, I'm not sure if they could use it as it is, because it's very, very specific of our company. So we did it ourselves. On the other hand, we have the customer operations, and the need there is to take what humans find very easy to understand, so speaking, voice, text, images, and try to make sense and transform it into something actionable for a machine. Because at the very end, the objective is to automatize as much as possible the company operation, because they are very, very hard and a lot of things to do. And the more you automate, the better you serve your customer. So we're going to talk about these two environments, these two contexts. On the right hand, this part here of voice, text, images, we tend to buy, because that's the same everywhere. Understanding voice, understanding text and images, it's almost, there are a lot of big companies studying for doing that since years and years. So we buy best solutions, while on the other hand, we have to develop them. Now, I'm just sharing with you briefly a few solutions that we have developed, so that when we'll see the guidelines afterwards, it's easier to understand more deeply what we are talking about. So one of the first solutions that we did is a system for detecting anomalies. And that's really important, because our, especially in the IP network, then we are now enlarging it in other environments. And by the way, this is a solution, we developed it with BitBang, which is one of the sponsors today. So it's a very good result that we have achieved. And the important thing is that all our networks are now software. Software doesn't give alarms, while hardware, when something breaks, sends you alarms, so you know that something has happened. Software doesn't. Software always thinks that it's working fine. So sometimes what happens is that some software bugs or configuration problems or changes create loops or other stuff in the network, and the traffic, your voice or your data, doesn't flow correctly from one point to the other, and that means that people are not able to phone or to make lessons in this period. This is terrible. And so we know that something has happened, because a lot of people is going to call us at the phone or tell us that nothing is working. So what we want to do is to anticipate this, which is not a predictive algorithm. It's something that when the weak signals of something strange happen, is going to raise a hand and send an alarm. So this has worked very well. So in the last, it's almost 1 year that is working. deployed on field, and we didn't have those really bad like you get the hashtag team down on all social networks, and it's awful for our company. It happens to all companies, also Vodafone as well, but then Wind as well. But then every company has to do something in order to get back the customers, so we have to give free traffic or free things, and so our image is suffering. So that's very important, and it's worked very well.
Mariana, so far so
sensors on one hand and the customer voice on the other hand, in the importance of automation. And I'm talking about this anomaly detection now. I'm so sorry you didn't see. Good. Okay, so that's the first solution, and that's done with a deep neural network to avoid false positives. The problem with anomaly detection is that it's very easy to find false positives. While another important, very important project that we did is for filtering alarms. As I said, all the hardware, when something goes wrong, sends alarm. So the problem is that to be extra sure that you get an alarm when something goes wrong, everything gets alarmed. If something breaks, all the neighbors are sending alarms that something is broken. So you're sure that at least one alarm will get. The problem is that all the people that supervises the network get flooded with alarms. Most of them are unuseful. So since I've been working here, everybody's has been looking for a solution. And what we did was to develop a solution, AI solution based on gradient boosting that used the previous information on how alarms ended up. So what happened to an alarm? Was it closed without doing nothing? Did it produce a trouble ticket, which is the way for telcos to say there's something to fix? And what has happened then when a technician has gone on field and fixed the alarm? So we did all this. We were able to build a supervised system that learned very fast to predict which alarm were to be treated and which alarm could be just left alone and they would just disappear by themselves. And I'm very proud of this because we were able to cut up to 40% of the alarms. That means that people working there had a lot more time to dedicate to solving problems than to supervise this alarm and understand which one were good and which one not. So our quality arose very much. And together with that, we were also able to add the important automation. Some of those alarms, the system, when the AI system is extra sure that the alarm is a real alarm and what's the cause for it and what needs to be done, it automates the creation of this trouble ticket. So this is also something important because the time to resolution of the issue will shorten very, very much. There will be no time to wait for the operator to take the alarm into account, no time for the trouble ticket to be created, and directly the technician will receive the trouble ticket from the machine and can go straight and solve the problem. And as you can say, I'm very proud of the fact that the operational persons, the one that do this work physically, as adopted the system. That means that they have a real confidence on the fact that the system works. Because think about how much costly and frustrating would be to have a lot of false signaling that the technician gets sent with his machine running to fix something and then it was not the right problem. So it's very important for us to have this confidence from the person, the functions of the company that have to use our systems. We also did some, this is interesting, I hope, because it's one of the industrial use of reinforcement learning. As you know, reinforcement learning is a part of the AI, which is typically used for games. It's been used for AlphaGo to beat the international champions of Go. It's been used in other contexts when the rules are very clear and also the outcome is very clear. You know, you win, you lose, everything is very well modeled. In real life, especially in those network or complicated environment, that's not easy. We were able to use the reinforcement learning to optimize the coverage of our cells using the tilts. Tilts is how much you incline the single cells in order to cover the territory. You cover more, but with less bandwidth, or you cover less, a smaller spot, but with much big bandwidth. And all together they interact. So the possibilities of the territory where we apply this algorithm is like 15 cells per time. And that means that every 15 cells, they have 5 different possible tills. And that means 10 billions of 10 plus 9 zeros of possibilities to choose among. And our technicians currently do it by knowing the domain. So of course they don't try 10 billions of solutions, but they do it. They are very, very good. They do it by I don't know what's the English, by a buon senso, by knowing the environment. But having this has really got that much better. And what I like of this is that it avoids putting new cells. That means less energy and a more sustainable approach. You really squeeze all you can from the network that you have. And last, we also use it, talking about sustainability, for energy saving. So we are trying to use AI in order to predict and automatically define the right level of warming, heating, and cooling for our machines in our sites, and and also for the people, also for the offices, especially in the new normality that we will go to the office sometimes. You will never know how many people will be there. So a predictive algorithm that is able to know how many people are going to get into the office and how much cooling and heating is necessary, so that you don't cool the offices when no one's there, and vice versa. Okay, those are the examples. And then the example of the operational part. For what concerns the interaction with the customer, we bought something. We bought a platform, and on this platform, we tried to develop what's normally called a chatbot. For a company as big as ours, with so many offers, so many systems, and so many possible problems that the customer asks, is more a virtual assistant. It assists you to all extents. So we want to simplify the interaction of the customer. We want to have with the customer a dialogue and not asking him to look for some instruction on the site. And most important, we want to standardize both the interaction with the backend. The platform is the blue one here. So you got the interaction with all the channels. So our customer can talk to us in every channel, and we interact with all our system. That means that we can diagnose your line to see when you're calling us if everything is okay. We can check the situation of your contract and how well your traffic is performing, etc., etc. So it's a goal-oriented virtual assistant. We really solve the problems, and we want to standardize the way we solve the problem. I want to say something about this chatbot. This is not something you would put data scientists on if you buy the solution. This is something for software engineers, because at the very end, these cognitive solutions, our virtual assistant is called Angie. You can see her on the top right corner. And I'm not saying she's not clever and she's not smart. She's wonderful. But the clever part is really a small one. You see, every virtual assistant has a cognitive module, which is actually smart and understands natural language, but that's normally done with the provider's software. You buy this from someone. But the key point, what really makes the digital transformation of the company, is the automation part. Once that the cognitive part is understood, what is the customer asking, the core of the whole system is to automate what it does when it understands what's the problem. So that's really important, because you want this to be always the same. You want this to be always the best way. So modeling this automation is really an important part of the work. It's like 90%, 10%, or 80-20, more or less. So that's very important. so everyone can learn to use these modules and to train this module. Of course, it has to understand more and more the way our customer express themselves. So it has to be trained on our specific context. And that can be done by, when I say normal people, I mean expert of the domain. So not engineers, but people maybe with a background of economics or user experience or whatever. And the same for the automation. The one that know how to treat a customer, how customer care has to be done, are able to use this visual interface in order to define those dialogues and automate the company. So when you do so, I suggest that you don't put data scientists there, but you put really good engineers and especially experts of the special domain where you want this chatbot to be used. Okay, those are the main things that we have done. I've chosen a few examples that would cover almost all the categories of what we do. And now I'm sharing with you the guidelines. So I've used the Italian way of saying, which is come quando fuori piove. It's a way of memorizing the order in which the power of these cards in the poker. And let's start from the heart. So the first suggestion is, even if you use external data scientists, external companies, consultants, keep the project in the heart of the company. That's really important, because what happens when you don't do so is like how much time? Okay, it's like the history of the drunken guy that looks for his key, the key of his house under a street lamp. And when the policemen come and say, "Oh, may I help you?" I say, "Oh, I'm looking for my keys." "Oh yeah, let's look for the keys. Let's look. Are you sure you lost them here below the lamp?" And the guy says, "Oh no, actually I lost them there, but it's dark. I don't see anything. So I'm looking for the keys here." So it's not very funny, but that's what happens with those projects, that if you leave it to external people that don't know what are your problems, they will shift into the data and the predictions and things that are really good and work very well, but are not what you really need. They're not what you are looking for. So you need, even if you don't have data scientists, train non-technical people, because it's enough that you understand the main principles. In my experience, like 100 or 200 hours of training, which are not that much, would put anyone in the company to be able to manage an external AI project. It's another thing very important is to see what data are used, because they very often data used are not the right data. So you need to keep an eye on that. And that's what I already said, that the AI goals are aligned. Diamonds. Even if manager ask, if it's a real AI project, it's impossible to say how long it will take and how good it will be. There is no way to do so, because you don't know how bad the data will be, how long it will take to clean, to fill them. You don't know how many trials you need to do to find the right algorithm. You need to try 2 or 3, because you have to benchmark what you do. You never know in advance what is the real performance that you can achieve. So you don't know how many you will have to try. And AI is not magic, so it does prediction if the information is already in the data that you are using to produce these predictions, but you are never sure that those the needed information is hidden in that data. You will know afterwards. So you're not sure that diamonds that you're looking for are actually in those data. So you don't know in advance if you will succeed or fail, and how well and in how much time. Clubs, and I changed it to club together. Make sure, it's been said yesterday morning by Christian, I think was the guy from Eon, and I totally agree. Since day 0, you need everyone to be at the same table. I know it will take time, but never, like with AI, if you want to go far, go together. Otherwise, you will end up with something that doesn't do what's expected, that your internal customer are not going to use, etc. So that is not privacy compliant. That is, you don't have the right people to do so. So since day 0, include the end user. And also my experience is that end user are absolutely enthusiastic about this, because You leave them, you make them work better. So involve them since day zero. They will give a very good information technology, because AI systems don't fly in the, don't float on air. They have to be attached to our IT. So I don't know why, but one of the main problems that we see is that a lot of companies don't work since day zero with IT. So they have this solution, but the solution that is not, cannot be plugged in the complete systems, and also include all these companies. Last, the bad part, spades. Okay, I tell you, AI is all about perspiration. It's like 10% of inspiration, but all the work is perspiration. So don't take shortcuts. So you cannot express requirement and expect AI people to solve them. You have to get together. It will take probably a month. Be prepared, but you need to reframe the problem from the old semantic, human-centered way to a new AI data-centric way. So don't be scared. It will take time, but it's the only way to get to achieve the right solution.
Marina, we have a lot of questions for you already. This is the first time happening. Before you finish, the questions are coming. So if you allow us, or still you want to continue?
Sure, 20 seconds and I'm finished. Last,
yes,
finished.
Yes.
So do not develop in silos, but that's already been said by anyone, so it's good. And again, everyone has to have a small, a basic knowledge of what AI does and how to read the results and how to interact. It's very important. And so widespread training, cultural change, and redesign roles, and make and redesign processes. If you doing so, what we got is the best possible solution. So you squeeze out of AI whatever it can be done. You will have something integrated in the company and gain efficiency. Okay, done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for this beautiful presentation. I did enjoy it, and I believe others as well. So we have a question from Dr. Hatch from Rennes School of Business. I'm not sure from France or Belgium, but the question is, thank you for your very good presentation. What was more important in your digital transformation strategy, the governance or the digital culture? You can see the questions on the chat box yourself as well, Marina. Okay. So.
It's a good question. I don't know, they're both so important. I wouldn't, I don't know. I think it's a key point, and they are both so important. I think that one of the main things for the digital transformation is training. You need to consider all the company, everyone, even people with the not a full background, and train and explain what you are doing, explain what these words digital transformation mean with simple words, with examples. I think this is the key point. So the digital mindset.
Thanks a lot. Second question, given I imagine these projects had many different stakeholders, how do you manage the tension between involving many stakeholders to ensure alignment of everyone, but moving slowly, or keeping a close, small team to achieve a delivery faster?
By moving slowly. You move at the pace of the slowest. You don't want to lose anyone. That's why I'm saying it takes time. It takes time, but there are no shortcuts. We actually did some mistakes in that sense. So yes.
Thanks a lot. Many questions. Very interesting presentation. I would like to know the impact of AI solutions that team adopted to networks downtime.
You mean how the network downtime changed from the past to the future? Okay, you know, this is a key point again, because when you avoid bad things to happen, they are always, if they have to give you money for that, you say, oh, I did it, it's very good, so give me the money to do that more. They say, how, but maybe you don't know, maybe nothing would have happened. You have avoided something, but who knows, maybe it wouldn't happen. But you don't want to have to let things happen just to demonstrate that that you're good. So it's a good question. I don't have an answer, sorry.
No problem. Thanks a lot to be so transparent. It's a pity you don't look at the chat box, because it's nice to read. Wonderful presentation, Marina. Loved it. Wanted to understand, how do you leverage analytics to domains like supply chain, which are already heavily supported by tools with advanced analytics in place? Can having custom models help?
Yes. So next year, Musim will invite me and I'll tell you about the project on this, because it will take like 20 minutes. It's really an important project. At the most, again, it's 80 perspiration and 20 inspiration. So the hard part is to have all the pieces, all the equipment marked, and all the warehouses digitalized. That's really hard. And on top of that, you can do what you said.
Okay, so I don't have any time, but there are questions. Guys, let it be for the networking breakout room, because we will not have so many people like yesterday. So we are talking about 80, 90 people for breakout time. And Marina, hopefully you will be with us for that breakout time, which is at 11 o'clock, 40 minutes, yeah?
Absolutely.
So they can ask you a lot of questions there, but you can then look at the chat box to see that it's not me saying very interesting. It was very interesting. So thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Thank you so much.